Boys and girls, this is the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and you're listening to Going In Raw, baby.
Hey guys, this is Charlotte, and you're watching Going In Raw. Going In Raw. That sounds terrible.
What's up? It's your girl, Sasha Banks, the legit boss, and you are watching Going In Raw. You like that?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, a little notify bell next to it to make sure you always get your new Going In Raw notifications. We're also available on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. A variety of reward tiers can be found over there. Be sure to check it out and support Going In Raw.
Yeah.
That sounded more like a demand than anything. Consider supporting Going In Raw.
No demand.
Oh, wow.
By all means.
Ooh.
Please do.
Anyways, so Summerslam 2019 is in the books, Larson.
In the books, man.
A brisk show. 3.5 hours for the main card.
There's really only about an hour. The last hour of the pre-show was dedicated to wrestling. The first hour all talking, so it was a 4.5 hour show. 13 matches.
Yeah. Pretty shocking for what's...
12 matches.
For what's supposed to be the second biggest... they kind of consider it like, the summertime WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was a good 2.5 hours shorter than WrestleMania was this year.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That was pretty shocking. Yeah, no, it was great. That aspect of it especially was great. And it was a solid show.
It was a good show.
We sort of talked about this towards the tail end of the live stream, which, by the way, everybody who joined us for the live stream, thank you very so much.
Thank you.
Epico Mondo, I think, MVP
of the weekend.
The weekend.
Without a doubt.
Okay, good. Somebody asked, somebody mentioned that they felt, I forget who it was, they said, yeah, it sort of felt like just an episode of Raw or SmackDown. And I kind of disagree with that. I think that some of the matches felt more like non-Big Four matches. The last one, the main event, totally felt like a WrestleMania match.
What they said is since there weren't any that statement was made before the main event.
Yeah, okay. The title change thing.
The fact that there hadn't been any title changes, hadn't really been any surprises, hadn't been any major huge story beats.
Yeah.
Because of those reasons.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
It felt more like a glorified Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah.
Up until that point, if you had told me, like, how was this as a SummerSlam? It's a major pay-per-view. It was all right.
Yeah.
But if it was like a B-level pay-per-view, it's a pretty good show.
Oh, it would have been spectacular for a B-level show.
This is up until the not including the main event because that hadn't happened yet.
But there are two factors which which sort of brings me around to calling it. Yeah, this felt like a big show. Goldberg and Trish Stratus. Whenever they bring legends out to do something, feels a bit bigger. I think one of my main sort of bones to pick, if you will, is the fact that they don't change the set. It is simply a Raw or SmackDown.
Well, that's another reason why it doesn't feel as
and that's totally true.
Special as it
the scope of it
should be.
The scope of it doesn't
like
feel
I understand
big.
I understand that there's a financial aspect of it, which granted these days they
have
all the money in the world.
That shouldn't be an issue at all.
At least for the major 4 or 5 pay-per-views.
Mix it up, right?
Just at least you don't do anything fancy. Just mix it up a bit so the show feels a little more important.
Yeah, totally. Build something.
Just something.
Get
I mean, like at WrestleMania, it wasn't fancy. A lot of people didn't like it. I didn't mind it. The huge giant screen. Mm-hmm. It separates it from everything else.
Yeah. Just something that makes it different.
Exactly.
Something that makes
it feel special, not run of the mill.
Yeah. In any event, I mean, it was what it was. But no, I thought that. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is great.
Definitely not going to challenge Triple Mania for show of the year, that's for sure.
No show is going to do that, dude. Except maybe Ring of Honor Summer Card. However,
we haven't watched that yet, so
I'm not going to watch that. That was totally a joke, by the way.
We should ask 25 people who were there in attendance what they thought of it. It's like a sparsely attended show.
I know, it really did. Was that for the actual card or that one shot? I
mean, that's just a picture I saw. There was somebody in the ring.
Okay.
I don't know when in the night it was. There was that shot where, I can't remember what match it was, but someone was sleeping ringside. And if you look beyond the dude sleeping ringside, it looked like there was quite a few empty seats. But anyways, continue.
Okay, so.
I thought that was for the title match.
The 3.5 hour length of the main card of SummerSlam this year. Can we hope and pray that might be a trend? Like, are we? Is it possible we might see a 5 hour WrestleMania instead of a 6 hour WrestleMania,
7
or even
hours
a
this year.
4 hour Wrestle? Wait, the main card?
No, well, in total it was all 7 hours. It was a 5-hour main card.
5-hour main card. So I'm like,
Yeah.
is it possible to get a 4-hour main card?
I might be asking too much, but
I hope so.
I hope so too. But if it's a situation where, at most, any pay-per-view, save for WrestleMania, goes no more than 3.5, 4 hours, cool.
Dude,
5 hours is too long.
Mania needs to pare down. It needs to. In any event, the kickoff show the first thing of note to happen in the kickoff show was Finn Balor backstage.
He was just standing there.
Yeah, he's thinking of what are the things that was on his mind. Did he pack everything?
Yeah, for his vacation, not
Does
for...
he have his passport?
Yeah,
as long as you have your passport, you're good.
You know, I'm eager to meet my fiance at the airport. We're gonna go on vacation somewhere, probably really nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do nothing for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
2 weeks? That was like 2 months, isn't it?
Well, I meant just the first 2 weeks he's gonna go.
Oh, okay. And then they'll do some sightseeing. They'll do some real tourist
Well, maybe
stuff.
he's going to take some time off just to rest himself.
That could be.
Not necessarily in the Bahamas or someplace tropical or on vacation somewhere, wherever it might be, the Caribbean, Mediterranean, wherever, you know.
Someplace nice, I imagine.
Yes.
In any event, he was approached by
The OC.
gang, the club, the OC.
Yeah.
That's right. The original official only
club that matters.
I got it right that time. And they basically said, hey, you know, if you want some help, all you got to do is let us
Ask
know.
anytime.
And they were throwing up 2 sweets, and they sort of dithered out of the frame.
Fade backwards and
yeah.
just kind of walked out.
They sort of like visually trailed off.
Yeah. It was interesting because AJ referred to Finn as little brother.
Yeah.
I guess Finn is younger. However, who was actually the person who formed the original club? The official club, the only club that really matters.
Prince.
Prince. He's the real founder.
Yeah, he didn't really say much. He was just he was like, I'm about to go on vacation. Let me alone.
It's like my mind's on vacation, not on my match.
So it's always
Not
fun
on
to
you
see
guys hanging out.
It's always fun to see Bullet Club get together, though.
Yes.
First up, we had Oni Lorcan versus Drew Gulak in like a 7-minute match. Does Wikipedia have the time on this one?
I'm sure it does at this point. It was ridiculously short.
Yeah.
For what it was all right. I feel like if they'd given this on 20 minutes on 205 Live, it'd been great.
I did. Yeah. You can tell them what I just did.
You Googled Wikipedia.
I Googled Wikipedia instead of going to Wikipedia or just Googling SummerSlam and then going to the SummerSlam Wikipedia.
Yeah.
8 minutes and 45 seconds.
It was
Really
fine.
didn't even feel
You
like
know,
that.
we had plenty of slapping and stuff. It was fine.
This is the same thing all the time with 205. The best matches are simply on 205.
Yes.
The problem here is, man, they don't let the pay-per-views become an advertisement for 205, because if they had banger matches on the pay-per-views, that might get more. Although I guess 205 is doing decent in the ratings these days. It's like always in the top
I imagine
five,
the word of
so,
mouth is probably pretty good.
I think so, yeah. Drew Gulak beat Oni Lorcan
Yeah.
to retain his Cruiserweight Championship match. Like you said, lots of slaps, lots of
There's
punches.
some slaps. I feel like if this had been on 205 Live, we would have got a 22-minute match with Gulak really stretching Oni really being physical.
They would have been able to tell the story they wanted to tell, or they could have told with a lot more, as we say, they would have let the match breathe a bit more.
Yeah.
Again, kind of surprising they didn't have one of these pre-show matches on the main card, given the main card only went 3.5 hours. It makes me think that they really just wanted the main card to be around 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to pull up the times again because I think the longest match might have been 16 minutes.
Longest match, 16:45.
Pretty
Kofi
short.
Randy, which was not a good match. And then Charlotte Trish went 16:40. So there was two 16-minute matches. Those
Nothing
were the
over
longest
20 minutes.
ones.
Even the main event was under 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well under it. Finish of this Cruiserweight title match. So Drew Gulak's pulling the ring apron into the ring to try to escape from Oni. So he's like grabbing at it, pulling it, it's getting in the ring. Oni stomps on Drew's hand, so Drew releases his grip on the apron. And so the ref goes over and fixes the apron so it's not a hazard to the wrestlers. Drew gets up, punches Oni right in the throat, and then hits his finish to get the win.
Yeah.
Later on in the pre-show, there's a lot of talking going on. We probably should have watched along for most of this. Drake Maverick goes up to the kickoff show panel desk.
Watch Along wasn't on at this point.
Oh, darn
They
it.
didn't have the Watch Along people talking
Until
to
the main
pre-show.
card?
Yeah,
Oh, that's a bummer. So he's in his wrestling gear. He's there. He's handing out flyers. He wants to find R-Truth. And the camera kind of widens out. And Truth and Carmella are sitting under the glass that's on the front of the kickoff show panel desk.
Yeah.
And Drake doesn't see it. Truth and Carmella get out. They have popcorn. They're throwing popcorn at people and stuff and talking to the panel. Drake comes back. He says, I have a ref with me. We're going to have a match. He starts chasing R-Truth after more popcorn throwing. Carmella trips up Drake, and so her and Truth, they escape.
Yeah.
We would see them all later on.
They have become so frighteningly good at Carmella jumping on Truth's back and then taking off.
It's seamless.
It's very smooth.
Later on, I didn't make note of it, but later on they're introducing the international announced teams. And so like third down the line, it's Truth and Carmella in disguise.
I really laughed at this.
It was pretty funny.
They were supposed to be like the British announce team.
Yeah.
There was no British announce team. It was pretty damn fun.
And they get to the end of the line, and then Drake comes up, asking everybody, have you seen him? And then by the time he gets to the point where Truth and Carmella they were gone. Mm-hmm. It was pretty good.
I like that. I really like that stuff. You get it. It's spontaneous.
Yeah.
It's fun. Keeps people engaged. Let's see here. The next match we had, which was just announced this morning, I think.
Yeah.
Apollo Crews versus Buddy Murphy. Apollo Crews' new ring gear was all shades of gray, maybe to reflect. Look at that, 2 Adam Cole thumbs in a row. It's great.
Amazing.
Maybe to reflect him not being as happy and colorful as he used to be, perhaps.
He used to have very bright ring gear.
Or maybe he just really likes gray. You wear gray shoes a lot.
It goes with everything. That's why.
It does.
It goes with everything.
In any event, him versus Buddy Murphy. This was actually a pretty cool match. How long did this one go?
6 minutes, something like that.
Was
4.5.
6 minutes?
4.5.
4.5 before it got broken up?
Yeah. So as soon as the bell rings.
They did a lot in that 4.5.
They did. As soon as the bell rings, Buddy hits Apollo Crews with a V-trigger. Gets a 2.
Yeah, that was cool.
Later on, Buddy goes for his finisher, Murphy's Law. Crews reverses it into a roll-up, gets a 2 count. And then they're on the floor. Buddy's on the floor. Apollo Crews goes for a moonsault off the apron. Buddy gets out of the way. He tosses Apollo into the ring steps. He gets back in the ring, follows with the tope. And then Eric Rowan comes in out of nowhere, lays out Buddy with a huge boot, throws Buddy around the ringside area a ton, hits a fun splash on him, powerbomb into the ring post.
The crowd was chanting, "Snitches get stitches," of course, because Buddy Murphy snitched out Rowan as being in the vicinity when Roman
was
Reigns
attacked. Yes.
got attacked.
And then Rowan said, "You keep my name out of your mouth."
Yeah.
Screamed it at him.
Besides a video package. Oh, and then we saw Daniel Bryan watching this from backstage on the TV. Besides a video package, which happened later.
Before the Charlotte-Trish match.
Yeah, nothing.
No Roman.
No Roman?
Yeah.
Interesting. You know what, man? I really appreciate that it seemed to be we don't have an idea for X, Y, and Z, Roman, Drew, McIntyre, whatever. Let's just not use them.
Yeah.
That's perfectly acceptable. That's perfectly fine. If you don't have something, don't pad out the episode with something that doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't do stopgap measures just to include someone on the show if it doesn't make sense. If you don't have a plan going forward. Exactly.
Smart.
Next, Elias comes down the ring, drops the promo talking trash about Toronto, starts singing a song again, talking trash about Toronto. He's interrupted by, "You think you know me."
On this day, I see clearly. And then Edge speared Elias.
Yeah, man.
Whoa. Didn't know he's allowed to do that.
We probably can't take bumps, but
No.
I'm sure you can do a spear.
Well, he did one. So, yeah, you're right about that.
Shout out to Edge with some, I think they're called Pine Green, the colorway. Jordan 1s.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Some good shoes.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
And then finally, the main event of the kickoff show for the women's tag team titles. Now, previous to this match being announced, which happened this morning, they announced that Alexa and Nikki, your tag team champions, will be taking on Asuka and Kairi Sane on Raw.
Card subject to change, man. Card subject
They
to
should have
change. What? Whoop?
Announced this match first, let it happen, then announce that match, because not that the outcome of this was in doubt regardless. If they hadn't announced the Asuka Kairi Sane match, but having announced that match already before announcing this match, you kind of knew what was going to happen.
Well, you can kayfabe it. You know, the Iconics at the last minute did some expert politicking. Hey, why do they get a match? We should have a match. Oh, that match is happening tomorrow? We want our match now. Boom. Kayfabed, baby.
They wouldn't have put that much work in. They just announced it on Twitter this morning. Anyway.
Right hand, meet left hand.
Yeah, they're... Iconics dropped the promo before the match.
Yeah.
I didn't hear this because I was coming back from the restroom. What did they say, Steve? Please.
They finished with the future being iconic. I don't know. They just talked some trash.
Yeah.
That was it. So, yeah. Anyways, fun enough match. There was one scary spot when I forget what the exact move was. I don't know. It was a power bomb. It wasn't a power bomb. Just
Peyton did
Billy
something.
Kay, I thought.
No, it's Peyton.
Was it Peyton?
It was Peyton. Did a move on Alexa Bliss, and it was a hard bump.
Crashing down.
It was a hard
and
bump.
with her history of concussions, it's always scary when
you worry about that. Yeah.
For some reason, she always takes these. Like whenever Daniel Bryan is in there bumping, like besides with the Brock match, you can always tell he always seems very safe. You know, Alexa, some of the stuff she does. It just looked like, I don't know if she's just a really good seller or
Maybe.
what.
And she was in this match like 90% of the time for her team.
Yeah.
Nikki was barely in it.
It's not like they put her in a tag team to like protect her.
No, she was in this match most of the time.
She's doing a lot of that stuff.
And she had some Buzz Lightyear inspired gear, Alexa did.
Yeah, that was cool. I like she's a big Disney fan.
Yeah.
There's always pictures of her on
At
Instagram.
Disney World.
Doing Disney stuff. I wonder if that was it. That was only Buddy Murphy, not a big Disney guy?
Oh, is that why they're apparently not together anymore?
Maybe. Oh,
I can see why Buddy might not be a huge Disney fan.
like in character, definitely not.
No.
I don't really know what he's like at it. I never watched
Not
the
at all.
Divas stuff.
Well, I don't think he was ever. Was he on there?
Wasn't he?
I know she was. I don't know if he ever was.
I seem to remember Karen saying something about her relationship with Buddy being like sort of being on camera a little bit on the Divas stuff.
I didn't really watch. I'm only really familiar with like the first 2 seasons before
Okay.
she joined the cast.
There you go then. In any event, Alexa Bliss hit Twisted Bliss on Peyton Royce for the win. So Nikki Cross is still WWE champion. I love that. I think that's great.
That's good. That's good stuff.
But man, I would also be happy if Monday came around and
Totally.
the Kabuki Warriors picked up those titles.
Oh hell yes, man!
Probably not gonna happen, but I would love it.
I'd love it too. Finally, we get to the main card, which kicks off with a submission match. You know, what a hell of a way to kick off the main card with exciting mat-based wrestling. That being said, they did a heck of a job keeping the pace up with this match between Becky Lynch and Natalya. It wasn't a whole lot of moments where they're on the mat jockeying for position.
Yeah.
If they were putting each other in some sort of submission hold, it was generally meaningful and seemed like it could hurt as opposed to a headlock or a basic kind of armbar type thing.
Yeah, this was a very physical match. I thought it was a pretty decent match.
Yeah, it was a decent way to open the show.
Yeah, sure. It was a bit more exciting than what you'd think of typically of like just a regular submission match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are plenty of wrestlers out there that can, like on 205 or Zack Sabre Jr., who can make submission stuff very exciting. Daniel Bryan for sure. But you know, a lot of times, not so much.
Yeah. And we were a bit. Granted, they haven't had a whole lot of submission matches, but and of course WWE is fairly fluid with the rules.
Say the least.
So there was apparently no rope breaks.
Yeah, and then even our live stream chat was sort of torn on. Is that normal?
Is that normal? Is that a normal thing? Is it not normal thing? Someone brought up when Stone Cold lost to Bret Hart when he passed out is because he was reaching for the ring ropes. So again, whatever the situation fits. I mean, I guess if the match can only end via submission, then no DQs, no countouts. I get that. But then the submission has to happen in the ring.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And then people were bringing up that Austin Aries and Neville had a submission match. And I think Neville tapped out ringside. Didn't matter because the submission has to happen in the ring.
So, yeah, the submission has to happen in the ring, but rope breaks don't matter. But you can use the rope for leverage.
Obviously, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we saw a couple times here.
There's this great bit where Natalya puts Becky in the sharpshooter. She wraps Becky's legs in the ropes, gets him the second turnbuckle, and puts the torque back on him. You know, Bret Hart's generally credited with creating the figure 4 around the ring post.
Yeah, sure.
So this is an interesting evolution of not necessarily that move because the sharpshooter is the same as a figure 4, but considering, you know, she's part of the Hart family, she took, I'm guessing, inspiration from the Hitman.
Maybe not even inspiration. Maybe direct advice because the Hitman was in the building, Larson.
True.
We saw him later on giving some advice to Seth Rollins?
Natty,
listen, I've got a great idea. Something I've always wanted to do, you know. Hold on a second. I've got to record this cameo. Hey, John, it's your birthday. Just know that the Hitman is in your corner, and I hope this birthday is the best it is, ever was, and ever will be. So anyways, sharpshooter around the ropes.
in the corner. It's like, oh, that's a great idea. So she did it. Becky escaped. The idea, I guess, Natalya was, you can't really hold that for too long. That's kind of a crazy position.
We also saw both competitors put each other in their
Respective
submissions.
Finishers.
Yeah, so Natalya locked the disarmer in on Becky, and
But-
Becky put in the sharpshooter on Natalya.
Yeah, prior to the disarmer, and then Natalya, with her leg strength, flings Becky into the turnbuckle to break it up. And yeah, you mentioned Natalya puts the disarmer on Becky. She's really cranking on that thing. Becky escapes that, but then Natalya transitions to a sharpshooter directly. And then Becky's crawling out of the ring. She's like half hanging out of the ring. And Natalya brings her back in, tries for another sharpshooter, and then Becky reverses that into a disarmer. Natty held out for a while.
Yeah.
But then eventually tapped.
I was happy about that. She held out for a lot longer than I think we've seen typically.
Yeah.
I remember Asuka, tapped way too fast for my pleasure at their WrestleMania match with Charlotte. But no, this was a bit longer than that. I was happy
it
about
was.
that.
It was. After that, one thing that I understand as far as people saying this felt more like a Raw or SmackDown than a major pay-per-view, there was, especially the first half of the show, not quite a number, but there were more backstage segments than usual.
Sure.
I feel like the last few pay-per-views, they just kind of didn't worry about backstage stuff, just focused on action in the ring. Because next was the interview with Trish Stratus. It was pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, but you know what? She's pretty good at, earlier, I think it was in the kickoff show, Natalya had an interview, and she's still not that great, you know. Trish, in an interview situation especially, granted, she's been out of the game for a little while. You'd think she might be a bit rusty. She came off as very natural.
Oh, yeah.
This interview was pretty good.
I didn't really feel like she lost a beat.
It felt natural.
In front of the mic or in the ring for the most part.
Yeah. I don't think she was the same. It's funny when people go away for ages and they just get older. Like Goldberg. Remember, he was terrible on the mic back in the day. He came back after, 15 years or whatever?
Yeah.
He was really good.
Of course, he did a lot of MMA commentary.
Yeah, that's right.
He probably got a hell of a lot more comfortable
yeah.
talking in front of a camera.
You are
and
probably
talking on a mic.
completely right about that.
Next, we had Dolph
Speaking of Goldberg.
taking on, what did Matt Riddle call him? Old Willie?
Old Willie.
Goldberg.
Yeah. So the highlight of this was, it was twofold. I'm not going to take away from Dolph because Dolph is actually making a pretty good case for him being around. But Matt Riddle, of course, prominent critic of Goldberg, was watching along on WWE's Watch Along.
Yeah.
So both of us had our phones out. We were just listening to him.
Yeah, he relayed the story of running into Goldberg earlier in the day.
So, yeah, apparently he sought out Goldberg.
Seemingly.
Found his locker or dressing room or whatever, and he peeked in. And then Goldberg came up to him and gave him a big, shoulder hello, basically.
Yeah.
And said, hey, I think you and I have a lot to talk about. And he's like, oh, really, bro?
And Goldberg says, I'm not your bro.
He's like, all right, well, we'll talk whenever you want to talk. I'm down to talk, bro.
I'm not your bro. But then I guess it ended with, pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
And then he was giving Goldberg crap the entire match.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
It was pretty great. It never crossed a certain line.
No.
It never crossed the line.
So Dolph gets in the ring. He drops a promo, start talking about how he's going to beat. Essentially, he's like the new beater of legends, essentially.
Yes.
And that's going to make him legend.
Yeah.
His promo is interrupted by Goldberg's music. We get the full intro from backstage, police escort, all that, pyro, all the punching of the air and stuff. They get in the ring, face to face, bell rings. Dolph hits Goldberg immediately with a super kick. Goldberg doesn't even wait till the ref's hand is off the mat after one. He kicks out.
Yeah.
He gets up immediately. Dolph hits him with another super kick.
Yeah.
Same thing. Goldberg kicks out at one. Dolph goes for a third. Goldberg counters with a spear. And then he really milks the moment for a bit. Picks up Dolph, hits the jackhammer, holds him up there for a little bit, as if to say, hey, I can still do this. Drops Dolph with the jackhammer. He gets the win. So he's leaving the ring. Dolph grabs the mic, says, "Hey, being hit by you is like being hit by a baby. I knew you weren't man enough to face me man to man."
Yeah.
Goldberg gets back in the ring, hits him with another spear. He leaves. He's up the ramp. He's backstage
And he
already.
goes. Dolph says, "Give me back the mic. Give me back the mic. I knew you couldn't face me man to man because I'm the best ever." And then Goldberg.
I'm undefeated, or I will be undefeated. It was actually pretty funny.
Goldberg's music hits. Goldberg comes out. He sort of lifts him, and Dolph is dead. He
Yeah,
is
he can't
dead
get
on
up.
his feet.
He's saying all this, laying on the mat, breathing heavy.
He leans him up, and he sort of pats him like, "Yeah, I think I've proved my point." But of course, he hadn't. He bounces off of the ropes, goes to the other ropes, come back just for a vicious spear. And I swear, I've never seen anybody, and we all knew this was coming. Dolph, the exact reasons we called for why they put him in there with Dolph played out exactly, because Dolph is light enough to be lifted up by a jackhammer, and Dolph will sell the spear like no man alive can sell the spear, and he did.
Yeah.
They look great. I think that last one, he like bounced almost out of the ring.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic.
It was pretty funny.
It was a really fun little segment. So I thought that was totally fine.
It was all right. Next, New Day's backstage, and Xavier Woods, Big E, hyping up Kofi for his title defense later tonight against Randy Orton. They say, "We got you something.
Something special."
We're here in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Of course, we bring to you Drake.
Yeah. Thinking, of course, it's hip-hop star.
But no, it's Drake Maverick.
Yeah, it's Drake Maverick. And he's dressed up he's got a do-rag on.
Mm-hmm. He's got a
some
New Day
hip-hop
unicorn,
accoutrements.
sunglasses.
Yeah. He pulls a little rap out
Yeah,
of his ass.
he drops some rhymes, and then he's like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm. He's like, I've got better things. He's got new flyers whipped up for the 24/7 title pursuit. And he's like, you guys are just wasting my time, yeah. And
What he said, I hope I'm doing, brought me in here just to appease you or something like that.
yeah.
And Kofi goes, "Oh, I'm not appeased."
I'm not a piece at all.
That's pretty funny.
That was funny. By the way, Xavier Woods had braids.
Yeah.
And they looked amazing.
Amazing.
They looked really great.
And so Drake takes off the horn and says, "I'm keeping this." And the do-rag.
Yeah, and the
And then
do-rag.
he leaves.
It was good stuff.
It was pretty funny. Next, for the U.S. title, Ricochet versus AJ Styles. Ricochet came to the ring dressed as Nightwing.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was his ring gear. He was like a full body.
Yeah, full
ring
body
gear
well,
on this
yeah,
time.
It wasn't quite a full body suit because he had a top, he had pants. It wasn't one seamless thing.
Right, yeah, but
Yeah,
he was
but
covered.
It was still amazing. I'm hoping he posts some pictures on Twitter or Instagram, because I imagine the detail on that, I said this during the stream, the detail on that is probably top notch.
Probably, man. Yeah, it was great.
It looked pretty great. Early on, AJ's outside, and Ricochet walks on the shoulders of Gallows and Anderson over to AJ.
So, like,
to hit her on it.
Gallows and Anderson are on the outside, and then they're like this, and then Ricochet comes off
The
apron, dunk, dunk. Like, these are their shoulders. And then,
Rana.
Yeah. Oh,
It's pretty great.
man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heel AJ works a much slower pace.
Yes, he does.
If you're familiar with his work in New Japan, you'll see that too. And so he was really concentrating on going after Ricochet's legs, especially with Ricochet's aerial talents. You take his legs out, you think you compromise his offense.
Pretty early on, he had him wrapped up sort of in a half tree of woe. He had like his leg all bent into the top cornered turnbuckle thing, and he was working the knee. And so the rest of the match was all Ricochet, basically a one-legged man. He did some cool springboard stuff with one leg, so that was kind of cool.
I think he hit a standing shooting star press on one leg.
Yeah.
There's this great bit where AJ was doing something with him on the top rope. I don't remember what. I apologize. And he's trying to toss Ricochet off, and the Ricochet does a sunset flip onto AJ right out. That was really smooth.
Yeah, that was neat.
But eventually AJ puts Ricochet in the calf crusher. Ricochet does escape and reverses it into an Anaconda Vice. It was nice to see the Anaconda Vice. We don't see that very much since CM Punk left and then got fired.
That's true, yes.
And then the club starts getting involved. Ricochet lays them out, kicks Carl Anderson, moonsault onto Doc Gallows. Kicked Carl Anderson.
Carl, machine gun.
He goes to the top rope. AJ pulls him off, so he's sitting on the top turnbuckle. They jockey for position a little bit. Ricochet kicks him off. He goes for a Phoenix Splash, corkscrew moonsault type thing. AJ catches him,
and sort of like lands him with a power bomb and then scoops him up. Styles clash. AJ Styles gets the win. The club come in to celebrate as Ricochet is selling all of his injuries, and then the OC hits their magic killer on Ricochet.
After Styles picked up the win, yeah.
Ricochet has no friends, so nobody came out to help him out.
Perfect time for Apollo Crews, Akira Tozawa.
Aleister Black.
Aleister Black.
Well,
He's on SmackDown.
It's a co-brand pay-per-view. They were a tag team. He's like a different Aleister Black.
He wasn't even. He probably wasn't even there last.
He's in his
or
room
tonight.
He's in his room.
He's laying on his platform.
Yeah, no Andrade, no Ray, no Mustafa Ali, no Shinsuke. Mm-hmm. Wow. After that, the Street Profits dropped a promo, so I went for a pee break. What happened here?
So Street Profits were doing their thing, kind of recapping the show, and then Angelo Dawkins was shooting his shot with Nikki Cross. Mm-hmm. And then Ric Flair comes in, and they just kind of just start wooing and stuff.
Wooing, yeah.
That's about it.
Riveting. After that, we had Ember Moon versus Bayley. This was a really fun match. Ember Moon came out with a skull mask.
Yeah, that was cool.
And some fancy eye makeup. I thought she looked like $1 million.
Yeah, she did, definitely.
It was great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought this match was good, but the crowd was not into it. Not into it.
Yeah, the match before it, I've noticed this before. When you have a match, so you've got like Ricochet and AJ Styles, and it's like a fun match with them, it will easily have the crowd like really into it. But they did the thing where, like we mentioned, Ricochet is selling his leg the entire time, and then he lost. And so I think that kind of killed the crowd's enthusiasm a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then you get the Street Profit stuff, and who cares about that? So heading into this match, it's not like the crowd had a lot of momentum to be into it. I really enjoyed this match, though.
No, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of... We've seen the last few years where SummerSlam doesn't feel like the Summer WrestleMania because far too often it doesn't feel like a show where storylines, for the most part, there's exceptions, are blow-off matches, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like the last few years, we had, just last year, AJ and Samoa Joe. That it apparently had a finish similar to the Kofi Randy Orton match. Yeah. I think it was a SummerSlam too, whereas AJ and Kevin Owens had a really wonky finish to one of their matches. We thought Nakamura was going to beat Jinder Mahal for the title a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't, but then they had another match afterwards.
Yeah.
So part of me, I feel this, and I don't know if other people feel this, that you walk into SummerSlam expecting some finality to some of these storylines. But that's probably not going to be the case. Mm-hmm. And so you never get that catharsis you get when blow off. Like the main event, that felt blow off. Because Brock's gone till Survivor Series. That felt like a blow off.
The crowd, I feel you. I think the crowd was into everything that felt definitive. Like they loved The Fiend. They loved The Fiend. They were really into the Charlotte Trish match.
Yeah.
They were into that one.
Yeah.
And they were really into the main event. But yeah, you're right. And this match, look, here, this is also the thing, dude. What's the last thing we saw with Ember Moon and Bayley was both of them getting beat, basically, by the person who got beat 2 matches before this.
Yeah.
By Natalya.
Ever since this match was made, which it was kind of made out of nowhere.
It was made completely out of nowhere.
We've been given very little reason to care about this match.
Sure. Yeah.
Very little reason.
We cared about it because we're big fans of both Ember Moon and Bayley.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually developing the storyline, there wasn't a whole lot of reason to care about the outcome of this match because they didn't give us a reason to. There was really no stakes.
Yeah.
The title was on the line, but on a personal level, there was really nothing on the line other than Bayley saying, "Hey, Ember, we were in a tag team match. We won. I think you deserve a title shot." That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you're not entirely sure if this is going to continue. This
finish
was fairly definitive, but it's like, it just sort of felt like...
Because how many times has a story come along where it feels like, okay, they'll move on from this? Mm-mm.
Yeah, right.
No, we're going to just keep this going because apparently we have nothing else to do.
I could totally see this getting a rematch on Tuesday.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is a cool spot where Ember Moon, they're on the top rope a little bit. Ember Moon hits a Frankensteiner, follows up with like this crazy code breaker type deal. Mm-hmm. Gets a 2. Bayley goes for a flying head scissors. Moon reverses it to a powerbomb again, gets a 2. Ember Moon goes up like she's going for an eclipse. Bailey runs up, meets her up there, hits Bailey to belly off the second rope for the win.
Yeah.
Fun enough match. Both of them are great.
Yeah.
Just there wasn't.
The finish was cool.
The finish was
really
cool.
liked the finish.
It just storyline wise, there just wasn't enough being put into it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel like there was really any real animosity between the two.
You know what this match feels like? That like if they had the time and preparation to make like a takeover match between these two, it'd be killer.
Oh yeah, because also they'd invest the time in NXT to develop a real story,
and they would do that. Yeah,
which I think is the most important thing because I don't feel like you can book out a match. I feel like with some interesting counters and moves and a cool finish, but unless I feel like there's a storyline to inform why the moves are happening at a certain time and why a particular wrestler has a particular strategy for that match. It's losing some impact.
Yeah, no, I agree.
After that, we had Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. Of course, if Kevin Owens were to lose, he would be forced to quit. And so both come down to the ring. Shane drops a promo after he goes to the ringside area, and he says, well, I'm here to introduce a special guest enforcer to make sure things are fair and square for this match. Here is Elias. Of course, Elias just got speared earlier tonight by someone who retired 8 years ago. Elias is not a threat.
Yeah, no.
He's going to bumble his way through this match.
Even if he hadn't been just speared,
yes,
he would still not be a threat because they have completely buried any idea that Elias will ever be a threat to anybody. I mean, I'll never forget when him and Drew and Shane were kind of initially a faction, and the 24/7 title was in front of him, and Elias, ran after that like it was scraps.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't even come out of that with the 24/7 title in the end. So he's just like the bottom of the barrel, like just scraping the bottom.
Oh,
end.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I don't know. So the story for the first third of the match was pretty much Shane and Elias taking part in all sort of shenanigans to try to get Owens counted out. So generally a situation where Shane and Owens would be in the ring, Shane would leave, run around, so Owens would run into Elias, they would start arguing with each other, and then at 8, Owens realized, I'm about to get counted out, he'd get back in the ring.
Yeah.
One point, Elias tripped him up, again, a bunch of arguing because Elias has ref gear on. In theory, if Owens were to punch Elias, he's an official, he would be DQ'd, he would lose. He'd be forced to quit, so he couldn't hit him.
There was a really nasty bit where Shane tossed Kevin Owens off the apron into the barricade, but he did it with a lot of stank.
Yeah, that was Kevin Owens jumped and just like dove back first into the barricade.
Yeah.
Later on, Shane goes for a sharpshooter. Kevin Owens escapes. He has a pop-up powerbomb. He goes for the cover. Elias gets up on the apron to distract the ref. Owens starts yelling at Elias. He's distracted. Shane rolls him up. Owens kicks out. And then Elias throws a chair in the ring. Owens picks it up, teases he's going to use it. Shane gets up, slaps him. Again, Owens cocks back like he's going to hit him with the chair. He drops it. He starts yelling at Elias. Shane charges towards him. Owens gets out of the way, so Shane hits Elias accidentally. Owens follows up with a swanton from one corner, frog splash from the opposite corner, goes for the pin. Elias pulls the ref out of the ring. Both Elias and it was Danilo, right?
It was Danilo. Yeah, it was Danilo.
The ref. Ringside, Owens going for Elias, takes both of them out with a cannonball off the apron. We get a ref bump.
Ref bump.
Danilo is out.
Took a nap.
Owens dispatches of Elias. He gets back in the ring. He picks up the chair. Elias pulls him out of the ring. Sorry. And that's when Owens takes the chair to Elias, beats the hell out of him.
He's about to use the chair at that point on Shane, but then Danilo comes too. The ref is like, hey, don't do it. Otherwise, I'm going to DQ you. Kevin Owens is like, yeah, you're right. Gives the chair to the ref. The ref turns around to dispose of the chair, and Kevin Owens walks right up to Shane McMahon, gives him a thumbs up, and then gives him a low blow. Low blow. Then he gives him a thumbs up, and then he gives him a stunner.
Yep.
And gets the win.
Picks
1,
up the
2,
win.
3.
Totally. So we're totally getting Kevin Owens versus Elias on SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's totally happening. After that, this is actually a really, really good match. I didn't know what to expect. I know when Trish retired, she was a pretty good wrestler.
I did not expect this.
She has not had a singles match when she retired, 2009.
Yeah, it's been like
something like that.
Yeah.
About a decade.
It's been a while.
I mean, she was in the tag match with Lita. She'd been in a couple of Rumbles. But man, she was bumping all over the place. She looked crisp.
That was the main thing about this. Like, Charlotte totally carried the match, but Trish was not afraid to take bump after bump after bump. She pulled her weight completely.
Oh, totally.
But no, this is probably until the main event.
It was probably match of the night.
Probably actual like wrestling match of the night.
Yeah. It felt physical.
It was very physical. Yeah.
It felt like there was animosity there.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And again, they built this with only a couple. And granted, it's a legend coming back. You have a story built in, but they only had a couple little promo bits to build this, and the match really paid off.
Totally. Of course, Charlotte, she never hits her moonsault. She misses. Trish falls with a really good-looking slingshot flatliner. She hits a Frankensteiner. She gets a 2. And then about, 2/3 way through the match, Charlotte starts really working over Trish's leg. Goes for a figure 8. Trish reverses it into a pin. Gets a 2. Trish locks in her own figure 8, but Charlotte gets the ropes. Charlotte goes for a spear. Trish evades. Hits Stratusfaction, but Charlotte kicks out. There's a little more back and forth until Charlotte hits a boot. Follows up with a figure 8 of her own.
And she had, like, I've never seen her arch the way she did, like, to that extent before. She had it like let's talk about respect.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do this as far as I possibly can and then some. And then Trish finally
But again, it's a situation, Trish didn't tap right away.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
She milked the moment a little bit.
It was
cool. And Trish said this is her last match. And what a hell of a way to go out.
Oh, absolutely.
Hell of a performance.
Absolutely.
Awesome performance. Seth with rib tape, putting a shirt on, is approached by Bret Hart. Bret's like, go get him.
You know, when you're done with your match, maybe I found this other promotion, All Eat Wrestling. It's real great. I'm their champion. I had their championship. And
in my hands, do you want it? I have it in my luggage.
Who pointed out the fact that Bret Hart was the first person to jump from AEW to WWE.
I know.
That's great. Well, that was awesome.
And he'll be back to StarCast 2 probably, I think.
Probably.
StarCast 3. I meant StarCast 2 TOO.
I'm not making as much on these cameos as I thought I would. Hold on a second, Seth. Hold on. I'm going to give you the key to winning this match. But first, hold on. Hey, Robert, I hear it's your birthday, and I want this birthday to be the best there is, best there was. I'm not recording right now. Anyways.
Seth, you know how to use these phones.
Oh, man. Next up was Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston, which had a really terrific build. And this match,
this really felt like something they should have done SmackDown 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
to build to an actual SummerSlam match.
I would never have wanted to watch this match, though. I mean, with how the finish was booked completely and totally,
and if it had happened in SmackDown, it would have been 8 to 10 minutes instead of 60 minutes plus.
Right? Yeah.
Because it was a very methodical, slow, typical Randy Orton match. He wasn't doing anything out of the norm. It was like he knew this was a placeholder match because they're having the real blow off in Hell in a Cell at Hell in a Cell in October.
Yeah.
So why really try to do anything terribly interesting? It's sort of like AJ and Nakamura's first match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's like the producer knew, we're doing all sorts of other stuff down the line, so we'll just have a match to get things started. We'll save the good stuff for the blow off.
That's how it felt. And it's just disappointing. Like, it's disappointing that seems to be the way they go.
SummerSlam shouldn't be a placeholder match in a feud.
It really should.
It should have consequences and stakes. And I understand the finish, which I don't feel like was terribly communicated very well. So what happens is Randy avoids Trouble in Paradise attempt from Kofi. Kofi goes to the top rope, jumps off. Orton catches with an RKO. And he just lays on his back laughing. Not really selling an injury. Not really selling getting beat up.
Yeah.
Just kind of laughing and smiling for a bit, which allows Kofi an opportunity to roll out of the ring. So by the time Orton kind of says, oh, okay, there's a match going on. Once the voices in his head shut up. He rolls out, picks up Kofi, and Kofi's family is sitting ringside. And he's just kind of staring at him.
Yeah.
Trying to be menacing, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Viper.
Yeah. And they're not selling any of it.
No.
They probably, exchange pleasantries
in
the back.
They probably had no clue what was going on. Like, they weren't told, And so Orton's out there just kind of looking menacing a little bit, picking up Kofi, not really doing anything. And then Kofi's like, "Oh, Randy, you're looking at my family." Oh, and then goes after him.
Stop looking at these people in the front row.
And then the ref just calls for the bell.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was long enough to be a double count out.
It didn't. And they didn't like have cameras. Commentary seemingly, and I don't know, maybe it's because we have the live stream going on. I don't feel like commentary was selling it. Visually, they were not selling it. Usually, you have good long shots where the ref is, and they emphasize the ref.
You gotta have the element of the count out in play, at least in the background. Like, you got to clue in Kofi's family and at least tell his wife, "Hey, Orton's gonna stare at you all scary, like react," because then you can have Orton all, and his wife, and then Kofi close up at Kofi, like working out what's going on, figuring out. It's like, "Oh no, you don't, Orton.
There needs to be also
You don't threaten my family."
either like a table spot or they go over the rail. There needs to be some greater physical indication that they are beyond the boundaries of being able to get back into the ring.
Yeah, not 2 feet away from it.
Right, exactly. There was just, it felt like they were milling about, and then all of a sudden a bell rang.
Yeah.
And they just didn't execute it properly.
No.
So it was like a crap match punctuated by a confusing finish. And it just continues to go. I was all for this feud continuing, but there really needed to be a different way to.
So imagine this had happened on SmackDown 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so the match after the SummerSlam is like, a no DQ something. You can directly harken back to 2009, Madison Square Garden thing when Kofi did the boom drop, put Orton through the table, all that.
Yeah.
You can, and maybe they're going to do that next month, or they're going to do that at Hell in a Cell. I don't know for the blow off, but you could have done that here, and it would have made all the sense in the world.
Yeah,
and it would have given people probably a match they really wanted because the build, while not flashy, was really solid.
Or even give Kofi, like the thing is, this was the flash of anger count out thing.
Yeah.
Instead of that, because it's a double count out, have Kofi win in a way that doesn't prove that he's grown, like that to him doesn't prove he's grown beyond what Randy Orton saw him as.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that could be, a DQ of some sort. I don't know.
Like a count out where he just gets in the ring. They have a crazy spot on the outside. Kofi just barely gets back.
Where
in the ring,
Randy can still claim that he's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you still have that title, but you didn't really beat me. In a way that more emphasizes Kofi's main issue with Randy Orton, not just, oh, you looked at my family, I'm going to beat you up.
I know.
That doesn't play into the central theme of the story.
Not at all.
That's the problem with it.
So anyways, Kofi gets a kendo stick, starts destroying Orton with it, and they're back in the ring. Kofi hits him with Trouble in Paradise.
Like, this should be a chess match, That's what it should be. And Randy should win the first couple, rounds or whatever. You should have him on the ropes. After that, woo boy, we had Vacation Balor in his cruise liner white.
Yeah, he came out in his underwear.
Looking like Captain Snooping.
Yeah, we had a white leather jacket and looked like, underwear.
Chones.
Yeah.
Chonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Briefs.
And then we had the debut of The Fiend. Ooh, boy. I did not expect him to come out with a lamp that resembled his own severed head with sewn shut eyes.
And his mouth is agape, open, and inside that is the bulb of the lantern.
And he has a new remixed version, a redone version, a cover version of his theme song.
Well, the only thing is the same as the vocal melody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's completely different.
It's terrific.
It's really good.
It is so good. So did
there's
Slipknot do this?
No, that's a woman singing.
No, I know, but I thought maybe they
yeah, we'd heard that Corey Taylor had some involvement in it. Maybe he's musically behind it, but obviously not the vocalist.
Sure.
But it worked really well, and the lighting was dramatic.
It was it was good.
Camera work needs to be a little more simple because they kind of gave it not quite the Sandy deal, but
they did. No, they totally did.
Garbage all over the place instead of just focusing on how ominous it could be. If
with
you just
this,
hold still.
Just still is better. His
really entrance is going to look really good on SmackDown when they get those new cameras.
Yeah, it will.
That's going to be something else.
It will.
So yeah, the lantern's great. He's got the circus ringleader gear. it all works pretty
wore
well.
the master in the entire match.
He started the match with his leather jacket on.
Yeah, and they were doing this great stuff where during the match he would start like holding his head like he was either hearing voices or like the Firefly Funhouse Bray was in direct conflict with the Fiend in the head. He was selling that, man, he's got some problems going on up here. But it was a fairly dominant performance from the Fiend.
Absolutely.
Finn got some offense in here and there.
Yeah, he escaped his sister Abigail after the Fiend tried to break his neck.
Yes, they did this awesome spot where Finn was on the ground and it was just like in a Chuck Norris movie.
Yeah.
Fiend grabbed his head and whipped his head like that. And then Finn and everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe he just tried to break his neck.
Yeah.
But in the end, Finn went for a coup de grace. The Fiend caught him with a mandible claw. Finn just passed out. Ref counted 1, 2, 3 because at his point, his shoulders were on the ground. He kept it down for a little bit. But boy,
some crazy lights,
some weird light stuff.
Lights go down, lights come up. Fiend's gone. Finn confused.
Yeah,
thinking vacation time.
And the crowd was just chanting, "That was awesome," over and over while Finn's in there like, "Well, time for vacation."
Yeah.
Oh boy, I thought it was a terrific debut.
It's probably the best reaction they could hope for.
And even I know he went for Sister Abigail. But he didn't necessarily move like Bray. Bray has a very specific way that he moves in the ring, and this was markedly different from that. And I loved that. I thought that was great.
And then finally, our main event challenger, Seth Rollins, taking on Brock Lesnar. Naturally, match begins. Brock focuses on the ribs, bunch of knees of the ribs, attacking the ribs,
doing the thing in the corner,
shoulders of the ribs, all that. He goes for a German suplex. Seth flips out of it, hits a super kick, follows the stomp. This is 45, 60 seconds of the match.
Yeah.
Gets a 2.
Yeah.
Brock again gets the upper hand, goes for another German. Again, Seth flips out of it. This time 2 super kicks. He goes for another stomp. Brock catches him with an F5. Seth rolls under the ropes.
Brock is still selling the stomp, too, so he couldn't get to the pin.
And then he goes and picks up Seth by his rib tape and starts swinging him around the ring.
It was unreal to see this.
One hand. Picks him up one hand by the rib tape and starts swinging around.
Yeah, it was like a sack of groceries that he was just spinning around and he tossed him.
Yeah, dumps him. We get 3 German suplexes from Brock, then another ringside, then another back in the ring. Seth rolls out, tries to hit him with an F5 into the ring post, but Seth escapes and then pushes Brock into the ring post 2 times. 2 suicide dives from Seth. He goes for the third. Brock catches him. Rams Seth into the ring post. There's some more jostling back and forth. Eventually, Seth gets the upper hand. Brock's on the announce table. Seth hits a frog splash off the ring post onto the announce table.
That looked ugly when they did the replay. Look, it was awesome. It was a great spot. But if you see Seth's legs crash onto the corner of the table, that looked ugly.
Yeah, it's probably a massive Charlie horse for Seth there. Back in the ring, Seth hits another frog splash, follows that with a stomp. Brock kicks out. Seth goes for another stomp. Brock catches him again with an F5. This time, though, Seth escapes. Another super kick. Another stomp. This time for the win. A fairly definitive victory for Seth. He didn't have to resort to any low blows. No kicks in the front area.
This was so... some people were saying, hey, why didn't we get this at WrestleMania? I don't know if this was going to be the story they wanted to tell. There was I don't remember what the reports were about the cash-in, if that was a last-minute thing.
I don't remember much of anything about that.
I don't. But I do really, I really like the idea that this was the match that, we could have seen at WrestleMania. I kind of like the extension of the story. I'll be honest with you. I know that they didn't execute Seth's demeanor after he lost his title properly. You and I have talked about that endlessly. The Seth that we saw in the go home where he said, he's very understated and I've lost everything. That was a Seth we should have had ever since he lost at the cash-in.
Totally.
Completely. However, the big picture story I kind of appreciate because we had the really fun chair stuff at WrestleMania. We had the cash-in. And then we had the match that was the underdog with the rib tape the Daniel Bryan, Finn Balor, AJ Styles matchup against Brock Lesnar.
Except the underdog actually wins.
And Seth Rollins is all those guys, as one perfect being, but underdog to Brock Lesnar.
It really would have benefited the story if Brock had cashed in sooner, instead of just having 4 weeks to build the story. Imagine
if they had executed Seth, if they had played him the way we saw in this go home, if that was extended from the cash in, and we had that,
even hell, just have Brock cash in the pay-per-view prior or an episode of Raw.
Yeah, sure.
Really surprise
us,
and then give us 4 to 6 weeks of miserable Seth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and week after week, more beatdowns, and so he's finally. Because that moment on the Go Home show was great when he was a broken man, but imagine if we, instead of having 2 weeks of that, we had 4 weeks of that.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
He was just devastated.
Yeah.
Just a shell of himself. Yet all he really wanted, all he cared about was getting his belt back.
And if you want to play up the Seth Becky stuff, you can play that stuff up a little bit. Like, even to her, he's completely dejected,
Yeah, but keep it all subtle. Don't make it like a focus of things,
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
Keep it subtle.
Yeah.
That's the issue. But that's the issue. They don't do subtle.
They don't do subtle.
They don't do subtle at all.
But maybe we'll get it. Anyways, that was SummerSlam.
It was more or less a show built up to focus on the last 2 matches, really. I mean, not to take anything away from any of the matches, especially the Charlotte and Trish, because I thought that was really, really good. But walking away, what people are probably going to be talking about SummerSlam this year, years from now, is The Fiend.
Oh, yeah.
And Seth winning.
Yeah. And if you can have, and the Charlotte Trish stuff, if you can have a couple really fun moments like that, and even the Goldberg stuff, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
If you can have a couple moments like that, then I think you've pulled off a decent show, especially right now when WWE, obviously, creatively speaking, they are in a transitionary phase.
Last year there was 3 matches that went over 20 minutes.
Yeah, that is a world of difference. Yeah. Last year, we had the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Ronda Rousey defeated Alexa Bliss. Shinsuke beat Jeff Hardy.
That was last
Balor versus Corbin. Miz, Daniel Bryan. That was one that won 23. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. Charlotte, Carmella, Becky Lynch. That was a good match. The Charlotte Flair, Carmella, Becky Lynch.
Yeah, that was a good match.
Let's see here. New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers, and Seth versus Dolph Ziggler. Yeah. So anyways. I think this is, to be honest, this feels like a better show than last year for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways. I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for the weekend. It was a blast.
Yes.
Takeover, and then of course today. And we'll be back at you Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Correct.
Noon Eastern. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about Going In Raw. Help us grow the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Be a part of Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Starting at $1 a month, you can enjoy Going In Raw ad-free, gain access to the daily 30-minute Going In Raw post show, exclusive merchandise, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description.